We got FNCA, so grand finals come in this weekend, and here I'm going to drop my predictions. I'm mainly just going to cover the top 10 because it doesn't really matter who comes like 33rd, 30th, 25th. No one really cares about that, I'll be completely honest. So just going to do the top 10 with some honorable mentions, I will say though. All right, the first honorable mention, I wish I could put them in my top 10, I truly could, is going to go to Mongrel, Savage, and Panzer landing at Bird. Now, from memory, let me double check my spreadsheet here. I don't think they've had a single tournament. Yeah, they've had one tournament in the Divisional Cups where they've actually been in the top 10. Also, of course, the group stages where they called the top 10, where it was. So I'm putting them as an honorable mention. I know they were contested a lot. They were fighting a lot off spawn. They switched to other drop spot over at like Shattered Spans for a bit. But I'll be honest, I don't have the fullest hope. They also looked very demotivated when they didn't qual, then ended up qualing. If you don't actually know how they ended up qualifying through, essentially they were 11th and then a team above them got banned. Lots of controversy because it was a team from the CIS region where I saw a lot of other tweets coming out from kind of members of that community basically saying, hey, this is some bullshit. These guys used their power and influence to get another team banned, which I don't believe is true. But anyway, honorable mention for, I was going to say place number 11, just honorable top 10 mention who could easily place there. Next honorable mention, maybe a controversial one, but I'm going with Janus, Noah, and Chap, who are in Masked Meadows uncontested. Now, the reason I didn't put them in my top 10 is because I watched their group stages and I was incredibly unimpressed by what I saw. Continual milks, lots of times they're below surge repeatedly. I saw Janus complain and tweet saying there's a lot of North zones in their group, which there was. I'll absolutely agree with that. However, it's 2025. If we're complaining about North zones at this day and age, come on, surely. They have a good setup. Teams contested to the right of them. I doubt this is going to be contested. We'll come back to that. They can also farm these guys for Surge, which is like a route they took during their group stage 2, which they could also do. There's a lot of potential for them. I do think they could easily be like a top 5 team, but I'll be honest, just wasn't impressed with their group's performance. One thing I do want to see though is I want to see a Noah Rayleigh pop off because he absolutely went crazy individually during the groups. Had some of the best solo clutches, tons of really good like prime performances. He was actually looking like one of the best players in the world. So I want to see him do good. Fundamentally, great players, love them all, but they're not in my top 10 right now. And the final honorable mention I'm going to put in is Shark, Jew, and Zandy, landing right next to them here. They've had some really good placements this season, but one thing I'm slightly concerned about for them is just the fact that they're taking so much space and so much loot. They're taking all of Canyon, they're taking all of the mountains here too, and quite frankly, if one of these teams who's conned, like all the way, probably not these guys, all the way around the maps, over here, someone's not doing well, they can just take this as another split, because through most of the Divisional Cup so far, this was actually 2 splits. So one team landing Canyon and kind of maybe taking some of this loot, and the other team taking the hills and the mountains here. So I could see a team who's like really scuffed and conned, just trying to cut off a huge percentage of their loot. I will say though, if they remain uncontested here, and maybe they're quite lucky with the kind of southwest zone pools, they could do extremely well, because they have great surge control over all of this. I will say though, again, if Janus, Noah, and Chap are fast out of Meadows, which again, they were not in the groups, there's not going to be a huge amount of surge opportunities here outside of kind of Yarko, Naku's team. And then it kind of depends where they're going to end up rotating, because if these teams go north, this is like Janus' team's the only one who's going to rotate past here, so the only one you're really going to get surge on, if it's like a further north zone, that is. If these guys, you know, if you choose the wrong side, if they go over here, they go here, you miss them. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure the game plan will be good. They've had some good placements this season, but not enough to put in the top 10. Next team I'm going for, oh my goodness, Kami, Seti, and Hari. Now, it's sad because these guys were basically like, I don't want to say guaranteed top 2, 3, but very, very close to. If you look at their placements so far, let me hit the little update on the spreadsheet. So in the 5 divisional comps, they basically placed 2nd, 3rd, 10th, 1st, 10th, and then 4th in their heat, winning a game as well. And they were uncontested, looked like going into this, but now Podesai, X-Squeeze, and Akira have qualified through the last chance major. And it was very interesting because, you know, there's a lot of beef, there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of beef, we love it all, and it wasn't looking like they were going to be contested again until last chance major. Podesai, X-Squeeze, Akira come through. These guys have been beefing on Twitter. There's one of the, I think Podesai tweeted one of the best tweets I've ever seen in the Fortnite space. The quality, you know, I'm not gonna lie, it's usually quite low, so the bar's been set low in Fortnite generally, but funny tweet of him going to contest. I truly believe this is just going to be both teams just griefing each other every single week. Or sorry, every single game. But At the same time, even though this fight has happened previously in not all the divisional cups, but a lot of the divisional cups, the worst placement Kamisei and Hari have had is still 12th this season, 10th being another one. So to pull them out of the top 10, I think would be disrespectful on their name. I do think they're just going to get third-partied by probably Haijo, Rob, and Trexer. I mean, these guys have got like free third parties all the way around them, which is kind of cool. Regardless, I'm going to put them 10th. They could be way better. They could be way worse. All I know is I think this is going to be an utter grief fest between both of these two teams. They've been beefing far too much over this season to come to grand finals and not just fully grief each other as well. Number 9, we're going to stick with the Polish teams. And I'm going to go Mixon, Kombek, and Blaha, who are landing in Shattered Span over here to the right. Now, uncontested, good amount of loot, good metal, good space. I'll be honest, also, their placements have been super consistent. I think they placed 6th in, like, I want to say everything so far. If I search Mixon. Yeah, 20th in the first Divisional Cup, which wasn't great. 6th, and then 9th in their groups on consistency as well. Yeah, so I'll be honest, super consistent team. I don't have much to say about them. They're like your classic Polish consistent team. There's not much more than that. Again, can't keep them out of the top 10. I've realized I do have 3 Polish teams in my top 10, which, I mean, hey, Polish takeover's been real the last few years. Number 8, we're going, let me scroll across. CZB, Nathan, and Eclipse. Uncon West, I am rooting for the UK. Actually, I don't root for the UK boys. They're not Scottish. I don't care. Landing over here in the West with Twinkle Terrace. Pretty established team of Nathan CZB. Really consistent last year, especially come to Grands. Eclipse also has been added on top. I actually don't know much about them this season, I'll be honest. I just know they're consistent teams. Uncon, I think they'll do good. Especially since Nathan and CZB historically have not been very good whilst contested. So, pretty good positioning for them. I think they're going to be very, very good. That's in my number 8 slot. Number 7. Now, from here on up, man, this was tricky. This was a really tricky one. But number 7, I've gone with Tayson, True Lex, and Chicho. Now, Foxy Floodgate uncontested. They basically control all of the hills around this area for a large percentage of the game. Pretty much anyone who needs to rotate, say if you have like basically any type of zone. If you have a northwest zone, you control all these players rotating in. If you have a northeast zone, you have all these players rotating in. Like, being mid-map on this is so good. So one of the things that, did I talk about this in one of my other extra videos? I think I did. One of the things I talked about was the fact that their early and mid games are so insanely consistent, so insanely good, yet their end game, they do lack a lot of the fragging power. So I see these guys just consistently making it to end game over and over and over again, but kind of similar to like a Trulex Chicho usual play style. They're not really getting many elims, not getting many refreshes, so they kind of die out relatively early in the moving zones, but they just consistently get points all the way through. So for that alone, it's a grand finals. If I see these guys below Surge in a single game, I'll be shocked, I'll be honest. Saying that now, they're going to be below 12 out of 12, but yeah. I just think their end games aren't that very fraggy, but their game plan and everything is always great. In particular, coming to grand finals, they'll be super, super prepped. Number 6. Now, where are we at? Over here. I'm going to say, I don't believe this is happening. So current situation here is Queasy Swizzy Murstache is contesting Vanyak, Pixie, and Marius at Kappa Kappa Factory, which definitely will not happen. Like, Swizzy and Murstache used to play with Vanya. They won FNCS together. They're just not conning them there. This is Vanya's drop spot. It's just not happening. Queasy be landed at Seaport City the whole time, contesting Mumsy, Skydrap, Shakos. I will put good money on the fact that these two will not fight here. And either Queasy will land on Mumsy, as he has been all season, or they'll just land somewhere else. So, the map that I'm looking at, I don't think this is going to happen, but that's what it's currently claiming. So, assuming Queasy's landing here, I do suspect a little bit of domination off spawn, as we've usually seen. I think the previous score was I think they fought in Divisional Cup Week 5, and out of that, Queasy placed 8th, and Mumsy's team placed 22nd. Mumsy's team did good in the groups when they were uncon, but again, I don't believe they're going to be uncon here whatsoever. So I'm putting Big Queasy up in, where did I say? 6th. I'm talking number 6, yeah. Swizzy, Queasy, and Moustache in 6th, yeah. All right, number 5. We're in the same area of the map. Unsurprisingly, I dropped Sky and Scroll. These guys have been insanely good. Let me find their placements at this so I can run you through. So when they got together, which would be in the 3rd Divisional Cup, so at the start of this year, they've placed 4th, 7th, 1st, and then 4th in their group as well. And man, these guys look insanely good. They're insanely good at low ground. They're some of the best consistency in terms of like fragging ability, teamwork. They're always staying together so well in moving zones and things like that. I have covered them in my previous video. I think I watched one single game from them there, and I was very, very impressed. I'm slightly concerned because looking through iDrop's previous history, the best he has placed in a grand finals is 7th, and he's been playing since like early chapter 2. So low key, he could be a grand finals milker. I hope he's not, because I really love iDrop, but could be a grand finals milker. We will see. But I will also say the one Divisional Cup that they won, every drop around them was double conned. So it was like, this was double conned, this was double conned, this and this. Like 4 different spots. So they had the freest surge of all time. They'll still going to relatively free surge if they want to push up to Queasy, assuming he contests Seaport. They can push here, because this fight's probably usually kind of fast, but I'm not really sure. They can push down here, depending on the zones. I don't think they're really going to struggle with surge all that much. So they've already got like a relatively good setup, and their end games, low ground, are so consistent. So really, really solid team. Got them in number, where did I say? Where did I put them? Where have I got them on this? 5, yeah. Number 4. Guess what? We're still in the same area. Now I'm going back to Vanya, Pixie, Marius. Now, it might seem a little bit of a strange pick to put them this high, in particular, given the fact that they had to qualify through the last chance major, winning a game. The final game, they were actually the last team to qualify through, but they kind of milked a little bit to not qualify previous to this. If we look at their placements, Vanya, of course I spelled it wrong. Come on, Reese, you can spell that right. There we go. Yeah, since these guys got together, Divisional Cups, they placed 3rd and a 2nd. And then in their group, basically, they just placed 13th. They were just a little bit crap. I can't remember if they were contested of spawn. Let me double check that. That might be the reason. No, they were uncon. Okay. So maybe this is a bold prediction, put them so high. But out of the 4 tournaments they've played at a high level as a trio, there's only been one of them where they've not been in the top 3. Obviously, we're counting the last chance major and that, but they even dominated that in terms of like every single game looked really good for them. So I think they just had one little slip up, and due to the format, they didn't qualify because of that. I still think this is an insanely good team, so I'm putting them in 4th. Again, assuming that Queasy is not contesting him here at Kappa Kappa. Number 3, we're going with Pix, Darm, and Demus. By the time this video comes out, no, my main channel video on Demus isn't going to be out yet, but now you know. If you're a Resub Extra watcher, you'll know that my next long-form video is actually a full kind of analysis on Demus. These guys are insane. They absolutely bossed their group. They have also won a Divisional Cup so far as well. They were contested in their group off spawn again by Potasai, Kira, and Xsqueeze. And that's the whole reason that these guys didn't qualify through in their group and ended up having to go through the last chance major. They are... It's kind of insane for me to put them this high in 3rd, because if you actually look, this is their first grand finals. Their first grand final. All 3 of them. None of them have ever made a grand finals before. And putting them this high. But their season has honestly been insane. If you watch the gameplay, super crazy. Unbelievably confident team. Really smart. Always making good decisions. Amazing rotations. Classic kind of Polish play style. Yet they can also frag really hard. And they finished off their group with like a 17 elim win, which I think was the highest of anyone. And out of all players in all of the groups, of all regions, only one player got more elims than Demus and it was like I can't remember, it was OCE player. So yeah, basically Demus fragging like crazy. Darm Pix also incredibly good, great team. Also shout out to Pink Nebs and Chino. I realized I didn't put them in my honorable mentions, but they are not up in the top 10 for me either. All right, up in the big numbers, number 2, I'm going Vico, Veno, Flixie. Now, very unfortunately, they are contested by Teeny Harris and Scooby. Basically, they should have won. Or, the tournament's not even started yet, and they say should have won. Almost every single person is predicting Vino, Veno, Flixie to win. They are the best team this season by far. They've placed 1st, 2nd, 1st, 4th, and 3rd in the Divisional Cups. Just toying around with everyone. However, Teeny, as you may be able to see, is contesting them in Grands. Now, why is this happening? Because if they're such a good team, why would you possibly contest them? Well, it seems like, firstly, I don't know if Teeny is going to con, because he's been landing at Demon's Dojo against Pink, Nebs, and Chino this whole time. And the last time they conned, he placed 31st here. So They basically also weren't doing very well from Flooded in their group. And I saw a tweet where Teeny was basically retweeting a team that contested them here in their groups was coached by Vico Venoflixi. So I'm not sure if basically Teeny thinks, well, these guys have coached a team to make us not qualify through groups, and then they went through Last Chance Major qualified, so we're going to con them. That's kind of the way that I think it goes. Not 100% sure. I don't know how this off-spawn fight is going to go, I'll be honest. You have two teams here that shall easily be able to third party if this fight takes any time whatsoever. So I don't know if any of the... They're basically just going to have to 50-50. Teeny has historically been an incredibly good off-spawn fighter. However, this trio of Teeny, Harissa, and Scavi are not that great off-spawn. As I mentioned, placed 31st against Pink, which was not great. Vico Venoflixi, best fighters in the region. I'm not going to say in the world, but in the region. Odd choice to contest. I don't know if this is just the full grief or whatever. I easily see this off-spawn going to Vico Venoflixi. Kind of free surge. But at the same time, Teeny's team could do good. I think them contesting them may just be enough to make them not win the entire tournament, which is a bit of a shame. But, and especially like the way that they're going, they might have like a perfect year. I can see the foresight of them winning every FNCS. But yeah, I guess if they're caught off spawn, I'm putting them second, which means first place team. Scrolling down, boom, Malabuka, Walks, and Ping. Also an incredibly good team this season, and now they're set up perfectly with the uncontested Night Shift Forest, with Warriors Watch contested to the south of that as well, which means basically grab loot, push down here, easy win. The only issue I see with this is that if Teeny, Harissa, and Scavi, I was going to say Teeny, Harissa, and Scavi could switch up and drop here as they did in their groups, but they hadn't landed here before. They did that and it was crap, and then they left straight away. So I think for these guys, great setup. Night Shift is one of the best POIs in the entire game, and with Free Surge moving over into Warriors, they're going to be absolutely fine. So yeah, that's my predictions going into the FNCS Grands this weekend. Let me know who you think is going to do good. On NA, let's be real, Peterbot's winning. The rest of the leaderboard, who cares? Hopefully Vidil does do good though as an EU player. Like, subscribe, peace.